It says, love others. They are your breath of life. Love the past, the present, and the future. Be the child who falls to his knees from the power of his own laughter. Be the song every lover hears in the passion of a perfect union. Be the leaves on the tallest tree who long to fall and kiss the ground. Be the love that bends hard corners into hearts and clouds into pillows. Love the ego you have abandoned, along with all the disowned parts of yourself and others. When there is nothing you have not loved, lay down and sleep. Lie down and dream the dreams that lovers dream. When you wake, you will be awakened. Love everything you touch, everything you see, and most of all, love me. Love me in all my many forms. I am the love you are meant to be.
Wow. Beautiful. That was beautiful.
Really beautiful. Now, obviously, the I there is referring to the divine. And I was thinking about, why is it so hard for us, especially, or sometimes seemingly especially as we get older, to feel this ecstasy of just being alive? You know, one of my greatest joys of Facebook is watching babies and children's delight at something new or a surprise. And Bob showed me one this week that was a Jack-in-the-Box, a series of children reacting to a Jack-in-the-Box. Oh my gosh, the surprise and delight was just, they, without exception, they all would roll backwards. They were so surprised. Even adults would jump back. But then they would just, just regale you with laughter. They thought it was so hilarious. And they do this with so many things. And I love watching the animal videos too on Facebook, where they make friends with each other and friends with humans in ways that are just delightful. So we know it, we experience it, and yet why is it so hard for us to hang on to? Well, nobody said this Earth School was going to be easy. And the longer you're here, the more challenging things you can run up to. And you don't even know what you signed up for, but you may have signed up for some pretty challenging things. And some of them are really hard, I know that if you're in the midst, for example, if there's addiction in your family, if you're a child and your mother or father is an alcoholic, try to find the joy. They often do. They escape with their friends and find the joy. But, in your heart of hearts, it's hard to be joyful when something's wrong in the family. Or if there's severe illness with one of the caregivers. Try to find some joy in that. If you're an adult and your child is a drug addict, even a grown addict, try to find some joy in that. It's a horrible situation. We watched a great movie whose name we can't remember. It was a new movie and it was given an award by the Global Press, whatever we call that. It was just
Golden
Globe Awards. Ben Stiller is the father, and the boy that's an addict, Camelot is his last name. Fantastic movie. Painful to watch as you watch, the helplessness and hopelessness that a parent has when they can't do anything to help. And the child has been through treatment multiple times. But one of my favorite parts of the scene was when the parents finally went to an Al-Anon meeting. And there was a big sign upon it that said, "You didn't cause it, you can't control it, you can't cure it." And, that was when they started, when they quit trying to think that they had something to do with causing it, therefore they should be able to control it, or therefore they should be able to cure it, is really when when things started getting better, when he had to reach out for help and get it, that was available to him through sponsors and programs. And so it had a happy ending. But try to find the joy when you're in the midst of that. It's hard. Those are challenging things. And yet, that is our task. One of the hardest things is try to find the joy when you're depressed. You know, when you're depressed, how are you going to find joy? And what I have to say to you is, if you feel like you are experiencing depression, do everything that you can to get help with that. I'm talking about medically, with therapists, wherever you can get help. And if it's circumstantial, and sometimes depressions are circumstantial, then you still can do what you can. When the closest I've been to depression is when I just finished graduate school and my son moved away at 13 with his father. It was really hard for me. I was kind of rootless, and I wasn't working, and I wasn't anybody's mom anymore, and it was really, really hard. And what I did is I asked myself, what did I used to like to do that was fun? Because I couldn't think of anything that was fun, you know, or that would bring me joy, or that I would laugh. And I said, well, I used to like to go to the beach, you know, with the kids. And I had lost all my friends because I had spent 5 years in school full time and hadn't kept up with my friends, so they hadn't kept up with me. So that's what I did. I said, what did I used to like to do? So I started going to the beach again and just doing the things that used to bring me joy. I used to find great joy in nature, and I still do. So I started doing those things, walks in nature, watching sunrises, sunsets. I think nature is one of our greatest gifts, that we forget how nurturing it is, how it fills you up. Bob and I are biking and exercising since the first of the year, and we usually go in the mornings. Now we're going twice a day. So we went at 5:30 over to where we go. I'm going like this because it's west, to a park called Quiet Waters Park, and it has biking paths around waters. But oh my God, the sun is setting at 5:30, and it is spectacular. The orange that's on the water, oh, I had to stop and take pictures, which never capture it, but it's just breathtakingly beautiful. So those things anybody can do, even when they're depressed. They can go out in nature, they can do the things that used to bring them joy, and remember, but most of all, the most important thing you can do is close out the problems. Do what we did first thing this morning. Just connect with Source. Connect with God. Let yourself feel loved by God. And you can do that if you just stop your thinking, stop the incessant worrying. What do I need to do? What should I do? How can I fix this? Just stop all that. Let yourself be filled up. It is such a gift, and you don't have, and you have to do nothing. That's the best part. You just unplug and do nothing, and you will be filled up. I have a quote from Ernest. I don't know where it came from. It just says, Ernest Holmes' creative mind. The person who has arrived will realize that he's done so in the midst of an outer confusion. He or she will be the one who has gone into the silence for strength and come out into the world equipped with power from on high. But that light which he has received, or she has received, must be kept burning. Not alone in the silence, but in the busy throng must all of us find the way of life. Our every thought creates. For the majority of us, these thoughts come into everyday affairs, some of which are very trivial, but these too will be demonstrated. We have missed the whole point unless we've learned to so control our thought that time and place make no difference. So you learn to control your thought even in the throng, even in the busyness and the problems. So that is our challenge, and also part of that is to love others. Well, how in the world can you love others if they're drug addicted, alcoholic, somebody that you have to take care of, and they might have an illness. What's the pleasure in that? How can you love that? How can you love them? Well, the interesting thing is you don't have to like them. You don't have to like the situation. You don't have to like the person's values or behavior to love them. You see what I mean? You love them just like God loves us, simply because they are a creation. They are created. So it's really good news to know that you don't have to like everybody, but you do have to love them if you want peace of mind. You know, even somebody you're taking care of, and it's a hardship, and it's hard, and it's not fun, and you love them, and you don't like to see them deteriorating. You don't have to like the situation, but you do have to love them. That will allow you to love life and find the joy and look for what is, we say, look for the seed of equivalent benefit. In every hardship, there is a seed of equivalent benefit. So you don't have to like it, but you know that there is some benefit here somewhere, even if you can't see it right now. You'll probably see it down the road and be able to look back and say, wow, that really had a good benefit. My mother had surgery for a brain tumor in 1963. I had just gotten married and left home. We didn't know she had a brain tumor 3 months before when I got married. My father was in Argentina. This was in Louisiana. My older sister was 20 years old, and she had been a very self-absorbed teenager. She was a party girl and all about having a good time, and my dad had made sure she had her own car from the time she was 15, and she went where she wanted and did what she wanted and drove me nuts. But when it became her job to take care of my mother, she was the only one who could do it. My father was out of the country, I was gone, and she had to drive her back and forth to Houston for doctor's appointments. She wasn't able to speak, she wasn't able to write, she wasn't able to walk. She spoke, but it made no sense. It was called aphasia, that sometimes happened with brain surgery. And she grew up like that. She became responsible, loving, diligent. She just did a wonderful job. And even more than that, she could understand what my mother wanted when the words made no sense to me. I went back to visit, which was very hard for me to see her that way. I often thought God spared me, knowing I couldn't have handled it. I think I was closer to her than anybody, and to see her was really hard for me. But my sister could listen to her and know what she wanted and say, is this what you want, Mom? And yes, she did. She would say yes. She understood perfectly. She just couldn't get the words out. So that was the seed of equivalent benefit in that tragedy and in that trauma and that hardship. My sister instantly became someone that I really liked and appreciated and really did the responsible, right thing. It wasn't what she wanted to do. She wanted to be out having fun with her friends. But she did what she needed to do. So there's always a seed of equivalent benefit. So if you can't see yours yet, that's okay. I know there's one somewhere. I know there's a seed of equivalent benefit somewhere. I'll just wait and expect to see it later. I think most important for me, even though I know we have these hardships, is that we want to, for me, it makes me feel good to know that God wants me to be happy. God wants me to love life. God created me for joy and to remember that. I read every day one of Ernest Holmes' thoughts for the day in a book called 365, and this is the one from this morning. It starts with a Bible quote from the Psalms. Thou wilt show me the path of life. In thy presence is fullness of joy. At thy right hand there are pleasures forevermore. At their right hand, I think, means right here, right here, right here present, our pleasures forevermore. And Ernest says, we should daily feel a deeper union with life, a greater sense of that indwelling God, the God of the everywhere within us. When we speak into this mind, we have sown the seed of thought in the absolute and may rest in peace. Nothing in our thought about God should produce sadness or depression. Rather, it should have the reverse, because our faith and love of God should give us such confidence and such a sense of security that we should indeed be able to say, "Joy to the world, the Lord has come." So the divine presence leads me on a pathway of peace. It directs my thoughts, my words, and my actions into constructive channels of self-expression. It unites me with others in love, in kindness, and consideration. Today, I accept this action gratefully and realize that it brings into my experience everything necessary to my happiness. Knowing there can be no good to myself alone, for God is in all people, I affirm for others that which I accept for myself. So just know, joy is yours. Joy is your birthright. If you're not finding it, you're not looking in the right places. Stop and ask yourself, how can I have the love of life in my experience every day? And so it is.
So it is.